Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We are going down that dark path right now. We're talking about aliens. We're talking about UFOs. We're talking about reptilians. I am, guys. I'm going down the reptilian path. I'm going to talk about demons. We're going to talk about biblical context. We're even going to touch on the tragic death of Princess Diana. I've got two videos to share with you guys. Now, the first one is a David Icke video, and the second one is a Joe Rogan video. Now, just before I get into this, guys, okay, I want to try and approach something here as skeptical and as objective as I can. First of all, two young boys lost their mother, right? And I've met one of those boys. That's real. And, you know, out of respect, I'm not going to give any conspiracies and talk about, Princess Diana or anything around that sphere. I'm going to share with you guys a video. Now, the video is David Icke talking about Princess Diana, the late Princess Diana. Now, I'm not going to talk about anything around that other than the reptilian element of this. And all I'm going to say is I'm not saying anyone's wrong. All I'm saying is I have a very open mind to anything. Like if you come up to me and you say, hey, Sean, I can fly, and my mum was a high priestess and she's got magical powers. I say, wow, that's awesome, mate. Show me, tell me more. I will never shut someone down with, who comes up to me with crazy claims, or perceivably crazy claims, because I think we all agree, we all understand that there's just something not right in the world, right? Now, I was talking about this earlier on, and I don't know what this is, right? I don't know what this is. I've had several. One experience I can tell you guys about 100% is when I'm playing poker. You guys know I love my poker analogies, right? Sometimes when I'm playing poker, I know that I don't know how I know. It's like it's just like a vibrating I have. If I'm one-on-one with somebody and I've got a hand that is virtually impossible to win with, something tells me that I've won. It doesn't happen all the time, but I just know. I don't know what that is. And another experience I had, when I used to work in Eastern Europe, I used to go to a lot of these events, and I met someone at one of these events, and this lady, she claimed to be a remote viewer. I said, oh, okay, tell me more. I said, can you prove it? And she said, yes, you have a friend. She named my friend and she told me where he was. I phoned him up straight away. I didn't know where he was. I knew his name, obviously. And he was where this lady, and this was so random. I don't know why she came up to me. That always plays with me, right? So there's clearly something that we don't understand. I don't know what it is. I really don't. So when I approach all these fringe, slightly odd conversation topics, I approach these of a side, somewhere with I have an open mind, but I have a really, 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 really strong bullshit filter, right? So if you're going to tell me something absolutely wild, I will, please let me ask questions, right? So here's the first video I'm going to share with you guys, okay? So the first video is going to be a David Icke video. Now, I am going to stop this. How long is it? Hang on, maybe I will. Hang on. Give me a second. Right. I will be stopping this video at various points and just asking basic questions, right? And I promise you guys, I'm not saying anything's wrong. I just need more information, right? I just need more information.
after Diana died in the Paris tunnel, I was invited to the House of Lords to speak with a few lords who were kind of more open. And there was a lady there, and she started talking about Diana. I said to her, how do you know all that? She said, my friend was Diana's best friend for 9 years. Maybe a week later, we met. And
okay, so first of all, everything that so far, tick, 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 everything sounds good.
She was an alternative healer. Diana used to go to her. She told me that people at MI5 used to leave messages at her clinic to be given to Diana when she came. And one of the messages was that they were planning to kill her in a car accident.
Okay, so let's just unpack that, right? Let's just unpack that. Why has this information not gone to the police? Surely, from what we've just been told, if it's true, and I'm not saying it's not, but surely from what we've just been told, there is a chain. Who told you? Who told you? Who gave you this? Where did this? And you can trace that back, right? It does get weird.
Butler said that she told him the same, right? And she told me that Diana used to call the British royal family the lizards and the reptiles.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys caught that, but what they're claiming, and look, guys, I don't know what was said, but what he's claiming here is that Diana, Lady Diana, Princess Diana, she used to call the royal family the reptiles, the lizards and the reptilians, or the reptiles.
She used to say they're not human. I've come across people who've been at rituals with the royal family and how they've shapeshifted, how they watched the Queen go absolutely freaking wild. And again...
Okay, so like just that sentence on its own, I've tried to find this whole interview. I don't know where this interview is from, guys. Let me just rewind that. Let me just unpack this. And look, I need to keep saying this, right? I'm not saying anyone's lying. Wow, that's windy. I don't know. Maybe that was a sign. I'm not saying anyone's lying. All I'm saying is I have questions. I have questions, guys. I've got a lot of questions. So let's listen to this bit again.
Call the British royal family the lizards and the reptiles. She used to say they're not human. I've come across people who've been at rituals with the royal family and how they've shapeshifted, how they watched the Queen go absolutely freaking wild. And again, in different parts of the world, I've talked to other people who've taken part in these rituals, and it's the same kind of story.
Okay, so what he's saying there, right, is the royal family, right? And this is where I really struggle, right? This is where I really struggle, right? I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I just want answers, right? I just want to understand this more.
Reptiles. She used to say they're not human. I've come across people.
Let's leave it there. So let's just consider that this is true, right? And that let's just go down with it, guys, for 1 second, right? Let's just say that King Charles, let's just say that when this was around, you have the Queen Mother, the Queen, Charles, and Andrew, right? The children had not been born yet, right? So let's just say they are all, and here's where it starts to break down with logic. Charles had 2 children with Diana. Are they reptilians? Are they reptilians now? So like, are William and Harry, are they reptilians? Well, definitely William. I mean, some people could argue whether... I'm not going to go down there, guys. I'm not going to go down. I'm not going to mention any conspiracies about James Hewitt, guys. I'm not going to mention that. I'm going to stick down there. You know, I'm not going to mention that. But like, are they reptilians now? And like, if they are reptilians, do they know they're reptilians? And what about their children? If they have children, like, if they have children. So like, if Charles is a reptilian, right? Let's just go with it, guys. Let's just go with it, right? Let's not even go with Charles. Let's say the Queen, because he definitely said the Queen there, right? The Queen. This is why I find these things so difficult to go with, and I just want to ask questions. You know, I'm not saying they're wrong. I just want to ask. I've got more questions I want to ask. Right? Let's say the Queen is a reptilian, right? Does that mean that the Duke of what was it? Duke of Edinburgh? Does that mean he was a reptilian, or was he not a reptilian? Because if you've got a reptilian and they have a child with a human, what happens to that child? Is that half reptilian? Like, where does this go? And how many divisions in that bloodline before they're not reptilians? Like, so I'm really struggling with this whole thing, guys. And it really just seemed to me, from my understanding, break down with basic logic, right? Basic logic, you know, oh, the Queen's a reptilian, right? All right, fair enough, right? Okay. Does that mean Charles is? Yeah, Charles is. Does that mean, okay, so does that mean William and Harry are? Yeah, they are as well. Okay, so what does that mean there? Does that mean those little boys, are they reptilians as well? You know what? The William's children, are they reptilians as well? Someone would know. Little babies, you know, when he's at nursery. Is he hiding his shape-shifting reptilian face? It just breaks down in basic logic, guys. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying this is wrong. All I'm saying is I've just got so many questions, so many real questions that I think would open up a different direction of questioning rather than, oh, look, shape-shifting reptilians. I struggle with it, guys, and I just want more information.
The lizards and the reptiles, she used to say they're not human. I've come across people who've been at rituals with the royal family and how they've shapeshifted, how they watched the Queen go absolutely freaking wild. And again, in different parts of the world, I've talked to other people who've taken part in these rituals, and it's the same kind of story.
Okay, so that's the first video I've got to share with you guys. Now, I'm gonna go back to a video I made a while ago. Again, it was in response to one of these David Icke videos, because look, I do think there's something there. I don't know what it is. I don't think there are. I've not got the evidence in front of me, and nothing logically says to me that this is right, although I might be wrong. And, you know, I totally understand. I don't know everything. I just have more questions. Now, I was watching another video. I'm pretty sure it was a David Icke video, and he was talking about. I mean, I was so fascinated. He was talking about this woman. He met this woman, and she was telling him this stuff. And anyway, long story short, she said she was walking in the woods in London, and she saw a satanic circle. I don't know what a satanic circle is, guys. I've no idea what that means, but whatever. Right? She said she was walking in the woods, and she saw a satanic circle. And I've done the video. If you guys are on and you can remember me doing that other video, and she says she saw the then Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Ted Heath. And she says she saw him turn into a reptilian. She said he grew about, 2 foot. And he was this big reptilian, and he started talking. And when he was talking, it was like he was channeling a voice from somewhere else. And straight away, I've got so many questions that I've got so much more information I want to ask these people. And it just seems when you get when these people are being interviewed or they're giving their accounts, nobody's really pressing them on questioning. Nobody's really tactically questioning these people. And I do all these videos with an open mind, because I definitely believe there's something that we're not getting. There is something absolutely in the universe that we just don't understand. I don't know what it is. It's an unknown. The best analogy I can give you guys is, remember, you definitely don't, unless you're a reptilian. And if you are a reptilian, right, and you're watching this, if you are a reptilian and you are watching this, can you please let me know if you have children with a non-reptilian? Do your children know they're reptilians, or is there like a ceremony where where you tell them they're a reptilian? Can you imagine like a little 2-year-old shape-shifting at school? Oh, Tommy's a reptilian. Don't be crazy, Lucy. Tommy's not a reptilian. Oh my God, Tommy's a reptilian. And I'm not making light of it. I'm not, because I genuinely believe there's something here. I don't know what it is. I certainly don't think it's, a shape-shifting bloodline, although I might be wrong. But what I'm getting at here is there's too much information out now. Now, whether this is soft UFO disclosure, whether this is like JD Vance, I mean, I'm going to share with you guys a video in a second that was a Joe Rogan video. Like, whether this is, excuse me, whether this is aliens or demons or biblical scripture, I don't know. If you guys remember a couple of days ago, it was just so crazy. No, people just glossed over it. You had JD Vance, more or less, quite somebody with quite a lot of authority, coming out doing an interview. It was on. I can't remember who it was on, saying, "Oh, I don't think aliens are real. I think they're demons." I was like, "What? What? What? How is that? How is that not front page news absolutely everywhere?" So there is something happening. I don't know whether it's like a huge spiritual awakening. I don't know what it is, but we all can feel it where something's just not right. And the best way I can describe this is if, well, you guys can't remember unless you're a reptilian. If you guys think back to when people thought the Earth was flat, the planets didn't make sense, right? It didn't make sense, the positioning of the planets, because the planets would take these strange orbits. No, we didn't know they were orbits at the time, but these planets would take these strange paths in the skies, and nobody could work them out. Nobody could work them out. And there were all these models to try and explain how this worked. Nobody could work it out. But then, as soon as people said, no, what if the Earth is not the middle? What if the Earth is one of many and we all orbit the sun? Boom. Everything clicked into place. Everything clicked into place. All the paths of the planets made sense. All the stars, everything just fell into place perfectly, geometrically. I think we're there at this point now. I don't know what it is, guys. Right, I've got another video to share with you guys. This is a Joe Rogan video. I'll just jump this on now, guys. So this is a Joe Rogan video. I will be stopping this at various points again. No, I will. All right. Let me click the share button and then I'll share it, right?
For you.
You know how weird it is to see the vice president saying that he thinks aliens are demons?
Am I right? Are we right on this, guys? I literally did a video on this very topic.
I did see that.
You know how weird just like living in it, like that's a dream. That's how like you would wake up from that dream and
I don't think people understand how crazy the stuff is that we're getting told right now. Most people are blinkered on the stuff that they can understand, right? Epstein files. Oh, look at him. He's a dirty old man. He was bringing kids in. Oh, 14, 15-year-old. And that's disgusting, right? Nobody talks about the science and the scientists and the Gilgamesh's resurrection chamber. Nobody talks about that because it's outside of what people can conceptualize, right? War in Ukraine, tanks and bombs and guns. All right, we can understand that. We know what we're. All right, we're in Ukraine. Iran. Oh yeah, bombs. Iran. Yeah, America, Israel, Iran, Strait of Hormuz, oil. Oh God, we can all understand that. But then in the background, punctuating all this craziness, is a soft UFO disclosure, guys. And this is what we're getting right now. We are having a soft UFO disclosure. For those of you guys who follow me when I'm doing the other videos on geopolitics and global events, what happens is there's no big move. There's no big disclosure. It's tippity-tappity, little by little. So that doesn't give anyone a knee-jerk reaction. So this is where I think we are right now, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are having a soft UFO disclosure.
I would tell you, dude, I dreamed the vice president said aliens are demons.
Here's the question, though. What were they talking about in the Bible? When they're talking about aliens and demons, when they're talking about like angels.
Okay, so I have been down this, and I always try to steer away from religion. I do. It's just one of those things where I'm kind of torn. My logical brain tells me, how can a book written 2,000 years ago have any relevance today? None, zero, right? But then I'm looking at what's happening, like in the Bible, it said that there would be there's a mountain. I think it's the is it Mount Olives, the Olive Mount in Israel. In the Bible, I'm pretty sure it says something like, in the end times, when Jesus comes back, that's where he's going to come back to, Olive Mount. He will come down to Olive Mount, because that's where he went up. And what they say is that Mount Olive Mount, I think it's called, it will split. That's what it said in the Bible. He said it will split and there'll be two sides. Well, it turns out there was a geological survey and there's a fault line that runs right through the middle of it. So I'm totally torn between all this stuff. Now, if you guys want to take this on face value, and let's just say that, whichever edition of the Bible you're reading, you believe it's true. What were they talking about with these beams of light and beauty coming down from above? If you remove the word angel and place, alien, it makes a lot more sense, right?
What the fuck were they talking about? And are there different kinds of beings that can, for whatever travel method they use, whether it's teleportation or, the Bob Lazar idea of gravity shifting, whatever the fuck it is they get here? Why would we assume that they'd all be cool?
Why would we assume that they would all be cool? Of course they're not going to be, right? Of course. There's going to be, if there is aliens, they're going to be bad aliens. There's going to be good aliens. There's going to be gay aliens, right? There's going to be LGBTQ, ABC aliens. There's going to be all sorts of aliens, right? I struggle with it.
Right.
Like, and if some of them are, they talk about reptilians. Like, reptilian is a common experience that these supposed UFO abductees, and I'm not even convinced there's like physical abduction. I have a feeling that these people are out cold and something's happening to them inside their head, and they think they've been physically abducted. I think that's a lot of them. I think they have these abduction experiences. They come back. They have these contacts and they come back. I have a feeling a lot of them physically aren't going anywhere, but it doesn't mean that something's not happening.
Boom! Exactly. It doesn't mean that something's not happening. Just because we can't understand it doesn't mean that something's not happening, right? I don't know what it is. And like all of these like weirder topics I talk about, and this is the reason I don't work for like aerospace companies anymore, right? Because I used to tell them the solution within about 30 seconds, and I want to talk about aliens and like alternate dimensions. Just because we don't understand and we're debunking doesn't mean that there's not something there. Because I definitely think there's something there. I don't think it's shape-shifting reptilians. I don't. I've got so many questions about that stuff. I don't think little green men are coming here in little tin cans from the Zeta Reticuli or whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's something, right? I don't know what that something is. But we're about to find out very soon.
And if all throughout history people have reported demonic possession and demonic influences, and why would we not assume that if we do things to us?
Okay, so just quickly, I'm gonna throw a bit of Alex Jones in here as well, because mind control, because yesterday I think it was, I did a video on I can't remember what it was. It was like allegedly something happened on the Alex Jones show where he was talking to a pastor, and the pastor came in and said, sorry, no, he was doing a live stream, I think it was, with a pastor, and the pastor was saying, you're a war axe or something, Alex. You're a war axe, and Donald Trump's a war axe or something. And they're claiming, I'm just very skeptical with everything, guys. Okay, they're claiming that at that very moment there was an axe delivered to Alex Jones's show right there live on air. And what they were saying is that Donald Trump is now demonically possessed. And then I saw another video saying that Donald Trump is under some sort of mind control. And I'm like, really? My Occam's razor is just screaming BS at all this, guys, okay?
Like, we engineer viruses to use as weapons on people. There's a whole research program, part of the government is dedicated to bioweapons.
All right.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, bioweapon research is defensive, right? It's defensive. Bioweapon, just so you know, bioweapon research is defensive, all right? Because we're not allowed, but nobody uses bioweapons, right? Bioweapons is defensive, and the reason they have to make these bioweapons that are so deadly and contagious is to develop the antidotes and the antipathogens or whatever. No way would anybody ever use one of these bioweapons in an offensive manner. That would just be wrong, right?
Right.
You're not supposed to use them, but we just have to study them. If we do that to us, wouldn't you assume that any fucking super advanced species that sees us as territorial psychopathic primates with nuclear weapons, wouldn't you just manipulate us into all sorts of different ways, get us to do all sorts of different things that we shouldn't do, get us to commit crimes, get us angry, get us agitated, give us different algorithms that are going to fuck with our head to behave demonically.
Right.
To cause us to collapse.
Or just for fun. Didn't that guy, wasn't there a dude who started giving Zen pouches to ants to
So something he said there was wouldn't you want to I don't know, I think this was like do an algorithm on them or something. And when you talk about these like algorithms and stuff, the first thing that jumps to my mind is like all these 5G towers that have been popping up, all these communications towers that have been popping up. And when you look up at them, right, you see all these boxes and you're like, what's really up there in those boxes? What's really up there in those boxes? Because I don't know. And even if I got one in my hands, like even if I went up there and picked up one of those 5G boxes, I wouldn't know what I was looking at. Like, if I went up with my little, my little ladder, my little cherry picker, and I went up to the top of the 5G tower and I got like my screwdriver and I had a look in it, I wouldn't know what I was looking at. I'd have no idea. Right, let me jump onto the chat, guys. I've gone over a lot over what I thought I would anyway. Iraq-Iran war. The US furnished Iraq with all sorts of weapons. Ari Redacted is saying something was a prime example of driving people insane. Do you know what I can remember from that? There's a clinic about maybe less than 10 minutes away from me, right? Less than 10 minutes away. And one of the images of that time I have in my head is of driving past that clinic and seeing all the people queue up for their medical intervention because it was safe and effective, right? It was safe and effective. And all that kept going through my head was, this is the beginning of a dystopian movie. You know, like on the beginning of World War Z, fantastic movie. Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt's awesome in that movie. I don't know why they didn't see. I don't know why they've not done a sequel. World War Z, like at the beginning of World War Z, it shows you like news flashes of like what's happening to like when the opening credits are coming on, and it to like let the audience know what's happened previously. Excuse me. And that's what I felt. They were the vibes that I was getting, guys. They were the vibes that I was getting. The triggered Christian is saying, if atheists know there is no God, that makes them omniscient, which is an attribute if God, I think it means of God, and they don't believe in God, their argument is self-refuting. Right, the triggered Christian, can you, if you're still on, mate, I know this was what are we on? Right, triggered Christian, I know this comment was 5 minutes ago, but if you're on, mate, can you please give me more context to this? Because I'm not saying anyone's wrong. All I'm saying is I want more information, right? And the questions I want to ask are very, very simple. Very simple questions. Clarendon is saying vampires are real. Epstein was one. It's a metaphor. Do you know what? Actually, I was watching. In fact, give me a second. Can I find this? Yeah. Okay. So, right. Okay. So I'm just going to give you this from AI. So Clarendon is saying vampires are real. All right. I'm just going to give you the scientific research, right? I'm going to give you the scientific research. Okay. This bit here. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but this was research recently carried out. Research indicates that young blood contains factors that can partially reverse aging and regenerate old cells in rodents, because that's the only thing they've tested it on, right? Rodents. They've only tested this on rodents. Trust me, guys, they've only tested it on rodents. No celebrities have ever done this, ever. Never, never, never. Don't worry about that. It's only ever been, done in a lab on rodents. A process termed rejuvenation rather than de-aging. Studies on mice show young blood boosts stem cell function, reduces inflammation, and restores mitochondria in aging brains, muscles, and livers. While promising, this research is primarily animal-based, with human applications facing ethical and practical challenges. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there, guys, because that is a whole, that is a whole live stream on its own, right? Right, I'm jumping down to the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm already over my allocated time for this live stream. Big B of BFD is saying, if you don't believe, you will not see what's coming, just like in 22. Easier to believe in germs you can see than scripture you don't read. I agree. I totally agree. But like, I need more information. Christine Chambers is saying adrenochrome. Yeah, I feel the same as well. Our redactors is saying they are wrong. UFOs came from the depths of the ocean. Man has not explored yet, and the inner realms. David Hennessy is saying, I think the whole world could use that. I think he's talking about rejuvenation. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm already like double my time allocation for this live stream. Let me just throw this out there one last time. In fact, you know what? I'm not even gonna say anything. I am not, guys. I am gonna let David Icke do, because this is only like 40 seconds, right? Let me just share this one 40-second clip with you guys. I won't pause it. This is so the crux of this live stream. It's a UFO, alien, reptilian, and demon update, because there's some strange things happening at the moment. And I think that we are witnessing, going through in real time, some sort of soft UFO disclosure.
After Diana died in the Paris tunnel, I was invited to the House of Lords to speak with a few lords who were kind of more open. And there was a lady there, and she started talking about Diana. I said to her, how do you know all that? She said, my friend was Diana's best friend for 9 years. Maybe a week later, we met, and she was an alternative healer. Diana used to go to her. She told me that people at MI5 used to leave messages at her clinic to be given to Diana when she came. And one of the messages was that they were planning to kill her in a car accident. Her butler said that she told him the same, right? Then she told me that Diana used to call the British royal family the lizards and the reptiles. She used to say they're not human. I've come across people who've been at rituals with the royal family and how they've shapeshifted, how they watched the Queen go absolutely freaking wild. And again, at different parts of the world, I've talked to other people who've taken part in these rituals, and it's the same.
So I'll be honest with you, right? I will approach everything with an open mind, right? I will absolutely anything. I have a huge BS filter, and I've just got so many questions. Obviously, I can't say if these people are BS, waffling or not. All I can say is I've got a lot of questions, all right? But there is, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to share the Joe Rogan one because that's quite a video. Well, it's like 5 minutes long or whatever it is. I've just got more questions, right? And I think the more I delve into this subject matter, the more questions I'm getting. Like, the more questions I really am, guys. I'm just getting so many questions. Like, and when I see these people on these interviews, I'm like screaming at the screen. I'm like screaming at the TV or whatever I'm watching. I'm like, Ask them this question. Just ask them this. Because there are basic fundamental questions. Anybody who's done like anybody who knows anything about tactical questioning, right? If you structure your questions, ask them in the right sequence, you don't get the full story, but you can tell if people are being deceptive or not. You know, and if they're, you know, if you feel that these people are being deceptive, you can give them more rigorous questioning. Now, I know that's not going to happen in the civilian world, right? I know you can't give people more robust questioning in the civilian world, but I just think the people that get asked these questions, the people that do these interviews, they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very, they don't interrogate enough. You know, like if I was interviewing David Icke, right, and he said that to me, I'd be like, whoa, stop. I would want everything to be unpacked. I would want everything to be unpacked. I would want to know, and if someone's telling the truth, this is not a problem, right? I would want to know everything. So if David Icke told me what he just said there, that he went to the House of Lords and this, I'd be like, okay, when did you go to the House of Lords? What color was the carpet? What color was the decorations? Was there any electronic devices in the room? Was there any cameras? What time of day was it? I would be building up so much of a picture about that event, because it's the little things that trip people that trip people up. You know, if somebody's going to tell you a lie, right? I'm going to give you guys some tactical questioning, right? Look, guys, I need to caveat this. I'm not saying anybody's lying. I'm really not. All I'm saying is this is what I'm saying. I'm fascinated and I want to know more. I genuinely want to know more, right? I'm fascinated and I want to know more. If somebody, let's forget David Icke now. If somebody says they've been to the House of Lords to talk about some sort of secret society, right? Their story will, you know, they will have gone through and they're lying. They will have got their story will have gone through, you know, they will have gone through their story a lot of times in their head, right? So what they told them and when and how, all that stuff, they won't make a mistake on that, right? But if you throw in a question, what color, what kind of carpet did they have? Everybody know, like, what kind? Oh, I can't remember. You know, I don't know, what time of day was it? What was these people wearing? How old were they? Ask them questions about the details, right? If they say they can't remember, fine. But when you start asking people questions about the details, and then later on when you're interviewing them, ask them about it again, very difficult, or maybe in a couple of days, very difficult to, like, especially if you're lying and you make something up on the spot, it's very difficult to go back to that. So I would want to know everything. I would. There are so many more questions about this subject topic, guys. And like, the more you get into it, especially this reptilian shape-shifting thing, because straight away, right, I'm calling it BS. Straight away from the get-go, I'm calling it BS. Straight away. I do not think that there are, like, huge people walking around and they can turn into reptilians, right? I don't think that. Like, not all. But I do think there's something, right? I do. I think there's something. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down. Oh, hang on a minute. Fever Pitch says royal traditions includes medieval rituals. I would say old tradition. Are old traditions not medieval rituals in some point? So Dave Hennessy is saying, do you think the governments are in control or have possession of a Stargate? Okay, so as the theory goes, the Iraq war was started because the Iraqis have discovered a Stargate. And then in the early days of the invasion, it was removed from the Baghdad Museum. If nobody can deny there's been a stagnation in space exploration, space travel. One explanation for that would be nobody's going to put money into rockets when you can just travel anywhere you want instantaneously with the use of a Stargate. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down. I'll be back on later tonight at 8. What time are we on? Yeah, not long yet. Not long now. I'll be back on later tonight, 8 o'clock, guys. I'll be talking about geopolitics. I'll be talking about the things that are happening in the United Kingdom. I'll be talking about the things that are happening in Ukraine, in the Middle East. I'll be giving you guys an update on what's happening in Ireland. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not done so already, please hit those buttons down below. The like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, all those things that help this channel grow. And I will bid you good afternoon, and I'll see you guys later. 8 o'clock, don't be late.